Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're going to unpack something really interesting based on the sources you shared with us.
That's right.
We're looking at Ayurveda, but specifically how it's really taken shape in Nepal.
hmm And the material we've got, it's a mix, isn't it? Articles, research notes, and personal observations, too.
Yeah, exactly. All giving us this picture of traditional healing, but through that very specific Nepali lens.
So our goal here is, I guess, to sift through all this material
Yeah, pull out the key takeaways.
and really get a handle on what makes Ayurveda in Nepal, unique. What are the crucial bits of knowledge?
Okay, so first things first, let's lay the groundwork based on what the sources say. What exactly is Ayurveda?
Well, the sources define it pretty clearly. It's this ancient system of medicine started in India over 5,000 years old.
5,000 years, wow. And they stress it's not just about fixing things when they go wrong. Right.
Exactly. The core idea, the fundamental focus is about balance,
Yeah.
balancing the whole person.
The body, mind, and spirit. They use those Sanskrit terms. Sharir for body.
Right, Sharir.
Mm.
And Manas for mind,
Yeah.
Atma for spirit. It's about bringing those three into harmony.
And how does it do that? What methods are mentioned?
It's all very natural. Things like herbal medicine, obviously, that's a big one.
Okay.
Plus dietary changes, lifestyle adjustments,
Oh, and detoxification is highlighted. They specifically mention panchakarma.
panchakarma, yeah, I saw that,
Yeah.
and massage therapy, Afyanga.
Mm-hmm. Apyanga, that's specific type of oil massage. And crucially, yoga and meditation are presented as really integral parts of the whole system.
Okay, so that's the broad picture of Ayurveda. But now let's get into the Nepal angle. How does it become distinct there?
This is where it gets really interesting based on these notes. So there's a line that jumps out
Which is?
that in Nepal, Ayurveda is seen as much more than just medicine. It's described as like a way of life.
A way of life. Okay, that's a significant difference in perspective. It really is.
Yeah.
And it seems to stem from this blend of influences. You've got local Hindu and Buddhist traditions weaving in,
Mm-hmm.
connections to Vedic science, and then something really tangible, the Himalayan environment, the incredible diversity of plants there.
That connection to the landscape seems huge. The sources talk about unique features, right? Like the specific use of Himalayan herbs.
Absolutely central. They list examples, Jatamansi, Timur, Sugandhawal.
Oh, and Yarsagumba, that fascinating high-altitude fungus.
Exactly. That one really shows how the practice draws directly from its unique, potent environment. It's not generic, it's tied to place.
And it's not just the plants either, is it? The sources mention integration with other local traditions.
Yeah, local healing practices, even some elements that sound a bit like shamanism. It suggests Ayurveda isn't just clinically applied, but deeply woven into the cultural fabric.
Right, sort of absorbing local wisdom.
And maybe because of those spiritual traditions, there seems to be a really strong link to yoga, meditation, spiritual discipline, perhaps emphasizing that mind-body-spirit connection even more.
Making it even more holistic, maybe.
Possibly. And there's this constant theme of prevention, of lifestyle balance. It just keeps reinforcing that way of life idea where Nepal's specific geography and culture aren't just background, they're part of the therapy itself.
Okay, so this unique approach, this way of life, how is it actually practiced today? Is there formal support?
Surprisingly robust support, actually, according to the sources. The government's involved. There's a Department of Ayurveda and alternative medicine.
Oh, really? Within the Ministry of Health?
That's what it says. And that translates into infrastructure. You have government Ayurvedic hospitals, private ones too.
Any specific examples mentioned?
Yeah, the National Ayurveda Research and Training Center is named as like a key institution.
And what about training? Can people study this formally?
Oh, yes. There are dedicated institutes. The Ayurveda campus, part of Tribhuvan University in Kirtipur, offers proper degrees, bachelor's, even MD-level qualifications in Ayurveda.
So it's a recognized medical field?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that leads to, actual practitioners on the ground. The sources indicate thousands of registered Ayurveda doctors, Vaidyas, they're called, practicing across Nepal.
Thousands. Okay. So with that structure in place, what are the common treatments people get, the popular therapies?
Well, we mentioned panchakarma already, that big detox process,
Right, the cleansing.
and abhyanga, the oil massage. Then there's shiratara.
Shiratara. That's the oil pouring on the forehead, isn't it? It's supposed to be very calming.
Exactly. Really good for the nervous system, apparently. Then there's basti.
Basti.
Medicated enemas, seen as really important for cleansing the lower digestive tract and balancing certain energies or doshas.
Okay. Anything else?
Herbal steam therapy is another one commonly listed.
Got it. So, given these therapies and this unique Nepali approach, what kinds of health issues are people actually going to Ayurvedic practitioners for in Nepal?
It's a pretty broad range based on the lists and the sources physically. Things
Oh,
like joint pain, paralysis, digestive problems, skin diseases.
standard physical complaints, then, but given the holistic focus.
Right, it goes beyond that. Mental and emotional well-being are key. So stress, anxiety, insomnia are frequently mentioned.
That makes sense.
And then more specific things too, like helping with hormonal imbalances, infertility, even post-stroke recovery and nerve issues.
Wow, quite comprehensive.
And of course, general wellness people seeking detox programs or just rejuvenation. That's a big part of it too.
Which leads nicely into another point. The sources raise this intersection with tourism.
Yes, wellness tourism. It's definitely a growing trend mentioned in the material. Nepal's becoming a destination for it.
And Ayurveda is a big part of that draw.
Seems to be central. People are coming from abroad for Ayurvedic retreats.
Whereabouts? Any specific locations?
The sources mention places you'd expect, known for being beautiful or spiritual. Pokhara, the Kathmandu Valley, Lumbini.
Makes sense. And what are they seeking in these retreats?
Mostly those detox and rejuvenation programs we talked about, but also that spiritual healing aspect, combining Ayurveda with yoga and meditation in that authentic traditional setting.
It's the whole package they're after.
Exactly. The sources even ground this with a real-world example. They mention a clinic,
Right.
Sahayogi Ayurvedic in Kapan, Kathmandu.
Okay, what do they mention about it?
Just lists the kind of services offered there, like Ayurvedic massage, acupuncture therapy, stroke rehab.
Yeah,
It just illustrates where this kind of care actually happens.
right. Gives it a concrete feel. So if we try to wrap this all up, what's the main takeaway from these sources about Ayurveda in Nepal?
I think the clearest message is that it's really not just seen as a medical system you turn to when you're ill.
It's more ingrained.
Yes, much more. It's presented as this holistic lifestyle, a spiritual science, deeply woven into the culture, the land, the spirituality of Nepal.
Offering something quite authentic, rooted in that specific place.
That's the feeling you get, rooted in nature and tradition, really leveraging those unique Himalayan plants and local knowledge.
So we've seen the basics, then that special Nepali flavor, the herbs, the local traditions, the government support, the education, therapy.
Its role now in wellness travel.
It really paints a picture of a tradition that's ancient, but also very much alive and evolving.
Definitely feels that way from the sources.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe cue on, something that comes straight out of how these sources frame it. How does this strong emphasis in Nepal on Ayurveda being a way of life, so tied up with the culture, the spirituality, the actual landscape, how does that compare to how we often view traditional or alternative medicine elsewhere?
Yeah, it makes you think about that connection, doesn't it? That relationship between healing practices and the whole environment, physical, cultural, spiritual, that they exist within. Something to ponder.